June 24th, 2020, London. A man sitting in his home office, about to accidentally expose the biggest privacy scandal in social media history. He's not a hacker. He's not a whistleblower. He's the guy who runs the world's emoji encyclopedia. He's going to catch TikTok red-handed stealing something from 850 million phones. His name is Jeremy Burge. Right now, he's testing iOS 14 beta on his phone. Apple just added something new, a tiny notification banner. Most people would ignore it. Jeremy doesn't ignore anything. He opens TikTok, starts typing a comment. That's when the banner appears. TikTok pasted from notes. He checks his clipboard. The last thing he copied? A password. Every 1 to 3 keystrokes, like a pickpocket, rifling through his pockets while he watched. This isn't a glitch. This is by design. 850 million monthly users. 2 billion downloads. Every single one of them potentially having their passwords, credit card numbers, private messages, and cryptocurrency. Wallet addresses silently harvested by an app owned by a Chinese tech giant with documented ties to Beijing. Jeremy grabs his screen recorder. What happens next will force TikTok into an emergency damage control operation, spark congressional investigations, and expose a surveillance system hiding in plain sight on millions of phones worldwide. But here's what makes this story different. TikTok had already been caught doing this once. They promised to stop. They lied. Jeremy Burge was about to prove it. How did one emoji expert accidentally trigger the biggest privacy crisis in TikTok's history? And what else was hiding in that app that they didn't want you to know? Before you go any further, if you're into stories about regular people exposing billion-dollar corporations, you're going to want to subscribe, because what we uncover in this channel would make most tech companies very, very nervous. To understand what Jeremy stumbled into, we need to go back 6 months earlier, December 2019. A security researcher named Tommy Meisk publishes a bombshell report. He's been reverse engineering popular apps, watching what they do when users aren't looking. What he finds in TikTok makes him do a double take. The app is reading the iOS clipboard constantly. Not when users paste something. Not when users share content. Constantly. In the background, without permission. Without notification. Tommy's report names TikTok directly. It makes tech headlines. It gets picked up by major outlets. And TikTok responds with a statement that will age like milk left in the sun. This is triggered by a feature designed to identify repetitive spammy behavior. They're checking for spam, they claim. Nothing sinister. They promise an update to remove the behavior. The story dies down. Everyone moves on. TikTok has 800 million users. They're about to pass Instagram. They're untouchable. Meanwhile, Jeremy Burge is running Emojipedia, the definitive encyclopedia of every emoji ever created. He's the chief emoji officer. Yes, that's his real title. He's appeared on BBC, CNN, The New York Times. When Apple announces new emojis, journalists call him. He's not a security researcher. He's a guy who really, really cares about the little pictures on your phone. But he's also a beta tester. Has been for years. Every time Apple releases a new iOS beta, Jeremy installs it immediately. He wants to see the new emojis first. June 22nd. 2020. Apple releases iOS 14 beta to developers. Jeremy downloads it that night. The next morning, he starts exploring. There's a new feature buried in the settings. Apple calls it Clipboard Access Notifications. Anytime an app reads your clipboard, a small banner drops from the top. It's subtle, easy to miss. Apple added it as a transparency measure. They wanted users to know what apps were doing. Jeremy notices it immediately. Thinks it's a nice touch. Doesn't think much more. Then he opens TikTok. What happens next would make him famous. June 24th, 2020. 11:47 a.m. London time. Jeremy opens TikTok to browse for a few minutes. He starts typing a comment on a video. That's when the banner drops. TikTok pasted from notes. He pauses, types another letter. TikTok pasted from notes. Again. TikTok pasted from notes. His pulse quickens. He recognizes what's happening. Tommy Meisk's report from 6 months ago floods back. TikTok promised to fix this. They said it was resolved. Jeremy does what any good internet citizen would do. For the next 45 seconds, he captures TikTok, reading his clipboard with every keystroke. 1, 2, 3 characters. Grab. 4, 5, 6 characters. Grab. The banner drops again and again, like a drumbeat of surveillance. He uploads the video to Twitter at 12:03 p.m. with a simple caption. Within 1 hour, the video has 50,000 views. Within 4 hours, it has 500,000. By midnight, news outlets from The Verge to Forbes to the BBC are running the story. Jeremy's phone won't stop buzzing. The clip spreads because it's undeniable. This isn't a technical report. People have to trust. This isn't leaked documents that could be faked. It's a screen recording showing exactly what TikTok does. Tawny, frame by frame, banner by banner. And there's no way to spin it. TikTok issues a statement within hours. The clipboard access you're seeing is triggered by a feature designed to identify repetitive spammy behavior. Same excuse, word for word. 6 months later, same lie. But this time, people aren't buying it. Senators start tweeting. Josh Hawley fires off a letter to the FTC demanding an investigation. The Indian government bans TikTok entirely just 5 days later, citing national security. TikTok's damage control shifts into overdrive. They announce an emergency app update. The new version removes clipboard access entirely. It goes live on July 7th, 2 weeks after Jeremy's video. 2 weeks for a feature they said they'd already removed, for a privacy violation they claimed didn't exist. But here's what the media never reported. The real question nobody was asking. If TikTok was reading clipboards to detect spam, what were they doing with what they found? Here's what was sitting on clipboards. Passwords. People copy them every day. Credit card numbers. Copied from banking apps. Private messages. Copied to share. Cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Copied for transactions, work emails, legal documents, medical information. The clipboard is a temporary storage space, but it holds whatever you last copied until you copy something new. And that something could be the most sensitive information on your phone. 850 million users. Every 1 to 3 keystrokes. Do the math. TikTok's parent company is ByteDance, headquartered in Beijing. Under Chinese law, any company operating in China must hand over data to the government if requested. ByteDance has repeatedly denied that TikTok user data goes to China, but the company has also been caught lying before. In 2019, TikTok paid a $5.7 million fine to the FTC, the largest ever for privacy, for illegally collecting data on children under 13. They promised reforms. They promised transparency. And then Jeremy Burge caught them, doing exactly what they said they'd stopped. Here's what makes this story worth understanding. TikTok wasn't the only app reading clipboards. Jeremy kept testing after his video went viral. LinkedIn, caught. Reddit, caught. Call of Duty Mobile, caught. Dozens of apps, all silently harvesting clipboard data, all exposed by one iOS feature they didn't know. Apple's transparency update didn't create new surveillance. It revealed surveillance that was always there. The week after Jeremy's video, app developers scrambled to push updates. LinkedIn claimed their clipboard reading was a bug. Reddit said it was checking for URLs. Everyone had an excuse. Everyone promised to stop. How long had this been happening? Years? Since the beginning? How much data was already collected, already processed, already stored on servers in unknown locations? Nobody knows. The apps weren't keeping public records of what they grabbed. If this story is making you think about the apps on your phone, hit subscribe right now, because this is exactly the kind of thing we investigate. The stuff hiding in plain sight that billion-dollar companies don't want you to think about. Jeremy Burge went back to his emojis, but the damage was done. For TikTok, July 2020. TikTok's update rolls out globally. No more clipboard access. The banners stop appearing. Officially, the problem is solved. Unofficially, the suspicion never goes away. 1 month later, President Trump signs an executive order attempting to ban TikTok from the United States entirely. He cites national security concerns. The order gets tied up in courts, challenged, and delayed. But the message is clear. The U.S. government doesn't trust an app that was caught stealing data and lying about it. India makes their ban permanent. 200 million users gone overnight. TikTok's expansion plans in the world's second largest market destroyed. Jeremy Burge became a footnote in the story, but he shouldn't be. He wasn't a hacker. He wasn't a spy. He was a guy who noticed something weird and hit record. That's it. That's all it took to expose a billion-dollar surveillance operation. TikTok is still the most downloaded app in the world. 1.5 billion monthly users as of 2024. Whatever trust they lost in 2020, they earned back with endless scrolling and dopamine hits. People know about the Clipboard scandal. They just don't care enough to delete the app. And that's the uncomfortable truth about privacy in the smartphone age. Jeremy Burge proved something important that day. He proved that you don't need to be a genius to catch a corporation lying. You just need to pay attention. The apps on your phone are doing things right now that you can't see. Some of them are harmless. Some of them aren't. And the only reason we know about any of it is because one guy with an emoji website decided to look. If this story made you see your phone differently, subscribe to this channel. We find the stories that tech companies hope you never hear. Hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you want to see what happens when a hacker actually declares war on a government, watch our video on the Pirate Bay, the 3 Swedish teenagers who cost Hollywood $30 billion and walked away laughing. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing in the world isn't a hacker with a keyboard. It's a curious person who asks the wrong question.